Can you hear it? Anticipation is building. Are you ready? Can you smell the grass? You know what that means. It's baseball season, right? Yeah, baseball season. One more time. It's baseball season. Are you ready for it? Man, I just appreciate you taking time out. This is the Listen Man Show. Today we're going to talk all things baseball. We're going to look at it from a fan's perspective just a tiny bit differently today. So as always, I'm appreciative of you taking some time out to spend it with your boy, Kevin. Man, we're going to have a good time. Really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure that you hit that like, that subscribe. Make sure that you share. Make sure that you comment as well. You hear the music, right? 1, 2, 3 strikes. You better watch the show. This is the Listen Man Show. Let's go. What's up, family? Welcome back to another edition of the Listen Man Show. You know, it's the same show that's for fans by a fan. I'm your host, Kevin, aka Kevy Kev, aka Big Kev, aka you can call me whatever you want to as long as it sounds cool and it starts with a K. Listen, we're on episode 11. Thank you guys so very much for taking some time out to spend it with me. Today, we're going to talk baseball. You know, baseball has always been an interesting sport to me from the standpoint that you have people on both sides, right? You have some people who absolutely hate it, and then you have people on the other side who absolutely love it. So we're going to dissect baseball just a little bit, and we're going to figure out how we can make some of those fans that just seem to either not like it or maybe don't understand it. We'll see if we can't help them learn to appreciate baseball in its entirety. And we're going to see what you, the diehard fan, can do to help grow the sport that you love. So to begin, it's baseball season, right? We're a few weeks in. Man, we got some exciting things going on. It's nice to see some of the powerhouses at the top right now. The New York Yankees have the best record in baseball. Lord, that means my boy Derek is going to be excited. He's probably losing his mind. D, I know you're happy. Mikey, I know you're happy. Matter of fact, D's probably putting pinstripes on his truck right now if I know him. That's how excited he probably is over his Yankees. But just calm down. We got a long way to go before October, fellas. But that's the intrigue about baseball, is that you have these teams that have been around forever that have such history that people literally lose their mind when they start winning, which is kind of what you expect them to do in the first place. But it's nice to see. The Yankees have had a few down years, but here they are. Number one in baseball. The Texas Rangers are right there. The Baltimore Orioles are right there. The LA Dodgers are right there. And so it's going to be an interesting season with some other teams in the mix as well. The Atlanta Braves still look good. So it's going to be an exciting season. But I thought it might be interesting as fans to look at baseball just a tiny bit differently. Because as I mentioned before, I'm a fan of all sports. The difference is I'm honest enough to say that I don't know everything about all sports. So what I figured I would do in talking about baseball is maybe look at some of the reasons why some people do not like baseball and see if we can't convince them. And then I also want to look at some of the reasons why people love baseball and see how we can take those two fan bases and maybe meet somewhere in the middle to grow sports. Because at the end of the day, we're fans of sports, correct? So if we are, our whole goal should be to try to grow sports as best as possible so that we can have something to root for, something to cheer about, and that is baseball. So let's examine it, okay? So we're going to look at the top 3 reasons, and this is my list. The top 3 reasons that I feel hold people back from enjoying or wanting to get to know baseball a little bit better. All right, you ready? Number 1, Really simple. The games are too long. Now, oftentimes people feel that the games take way too long to play. Right now, on average, a game can run anywhere from 2.5 to 2 hours and 52 minutes. That's what the statistics say. But if it goes into extra innings, we've even seen some games go 3.5 hours. So to some degree, those fans might have a point. Some of the games are a little long, right? And so when we really think about it, it can be tough to watch, can it? You think of the batters have to take their time before they get in the batter's box. They have to tell the pitcher to hold on before they're ready to swing. The pitcher has to communicate with the catcher and figure out what pitch they're going to throw. That can take some time. Not including if the pitcher needs to be relieved, if he starts getting hit, then the manager has to come out of the dugout. He's got to have a conversation with the pitcher. Then you would think that all the other pitchers that travel with the team didn't show up. It makes it feel like that phone in the dugout is for the manager that literally call the pitcher, not in the pitcher box, but at their personal home to tell them to please drive down to the stadium, get changed so that they could pitch. Because as long as it takes for the pitchers to actually get back out on the mound to pitch, then they have to get warm-up pitches in before the game resumes. So I can see how some fans would feel that way. As fans, we're used to sports like the NFL. We're used to sports like the NBA, right? Somebody gets hurt, the coach just points at somebody down on the bench, and that player is ready to get in the game. They practice all week long. They warmed up with everybody before the game. They warmed up at halftime. Baseball is a little bit different. So you have all of these factors that can truly make the game long. So that's number one reason why some people feel like they would never want to get involved or like baseball in general. The second reason kind of follows right behind it. The second reason is simple, that the games are too slow. Now, we highlighted some of the factors that lead to it, right? Hitters taking too long, pitchers taking too long. Then when you finally wait for the pitcher to finally pitch something that a hitter can hit, because everybody loves the home run ball, right? They love to hear that crack of the bat. They love to see the ball go out of the stadium. But oftentimes what happens, you sit there, you wait for the pitcher. It's ball one, it's ball two, it's strike one, it's strike two, it's ball three. Now the hitter finally hits the ball. It's a pop fly. He's out or he grounds out. And then you have to repeat the process over again. So in a lot of cases, fans feel that it takes too long. Now, some of this has to do with us as people. Because if you remember, baseball was once America's pastime. It's one of the oldest sports that we have here in the United States. So when you think of the early 1900s, it was simpler times for people. They had more time on their hands. And so to spend an afternoon at a baseball game, to have a picnic, to do all these things together as a family, it was an event. And so the time didn't really matter. But today, as humans, with technology, we want things now, don't we? Everything is right at our fingertips. We need an answer to something. We can just literally say, hey, Google. We can say, hey, Siri, and boom, it pops up for us. Our phone is talking to us. Very simple. So when it comes to a game like baseball, we may not have the patience for some of the components that make up the game. So some say that it's too long. That's reason number two. Reason number three is simple: the tradition of the sport. Now, I know that might sound a little bit crazy, right? The tradition of the sport is something that people don't like. But examine it this way. Think of it. It says that in the fans' eyes, they feel that the traditions hinder the growth of the sport. Some have even mentioned that it takes the fun out of the sport. Now, look at it this way. Here's a good example of why some fans say that. Let's use a pitcher and a hitter again as an example. Those are our two components of the game, right? Now, a pitcher can pitch a ball at 90 plus miles an hour, and they can get that ball as close as possible to that hitter. And if they don't like the hitter, or they feel like the hitter is crowding the plate a little bit too much, they can put that ball near the person's head, their chest, their legs, their ankles, whatever. And in some cases, they might even beam them in the side or the back. Now, that's tradition. It's accepted. It's an unwritten rule. But now, if that same pitcher did that to a batter, and the batter happens to catch his pitch, and he hits a home run, can you hear it? The tradition of the game says that if he were to stare down that same pitcher that threw the ball at him, if he were to flip his bat up in the air and run a little bit too slow, tradition says that that's not acceptable. That you're not supposed to celebrate that way. That somehow is breaking an unwritten rule. And in some cases, it can clear benches because words get exchanged. So for some fans, they feel that these traditions make them not necessarily care for baseball. They feel like those are the things that make baseball fun. In fact, in All-Star, what is it that we see? The home run derby, right? So that's what people go to baseball games for. What do they say? People dig the long ball. But yet, when someone finally gets one, they can't even really celebrate. We'll get back to that in just a little bit. So what's the solution for that fan that has those three reasons as to why they say that they will not be fans of baseball? Well, I've come up with a nice positive solution for that particular fan. So if you fall into that category, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to a game. I want you to go to one. I was once that same person. I didn't like watching baseball on TV too much, but I actually started going to a major league game. Being from Pittsburgh, oh, my Pirates. I guess the only good thing that came from them is that the tickets aren't too expensive and you can get really great seats. But when you go to a game, you see the game in a totally different light. I know I did. I'm sitting there watching the game. You walk into the stadium, you see all the aspects around baseball. And then you get to see all of the things that you don't see when you watch it on TV. You don't get to see the activities before the game starts. You don't get to see some of the things that take place during the game. The fan interaction. Those things are amazing when you're actually at a game. And because of having friends and family with you, or even other fans around you that you get to interact with, the time does seem to move a little bit faster. So my solution is to actually go to a game. Maybe start out with a local high school game. If you have a college team in your area, go to a college game. Maybe a little semi-pro team like we have in this area, the Marlins. Maybe go to one of those. See what you experience. Maybe some of those traditions will become good things for you. Maybe the time will pass. Maybe you'll just find yourself having a good time at a nice event with your friends or with your family. And that might help you become more of a fan of baseball. So that's my solution. Try it out. And then leave a comment for me if you do go to one and tell me what you thought about going to a game. Maybe you felt the same way that I did. And once you go, now you're okay with it. Now, what about the fan that is the diehard fan? These are some of the ones that might be season ticket holders. These are some of the ones that have all of the jerseys. They keep up with the historical aspects of the team. They can name players by their position, by their number. These are the diehard fans. What are the top three reasons as to why most people become diehard fans of baseball? This intrigued me as to why I wanted to talk about it on today's show. So the number one reason, nostalgia. Now I thought that was unique, but I can relate to that. Nostalgia. As I mentioned, baseball is one of those sports that when you think about it, it really was kind of created for families to have a pastime. We talked about that previously. And so it was something that the whole family would enjoy. Then it gets passed down because that kid that was a kid, he grows up and has his own family. He takes his family. Then his son or daughter do the same exact thing with their family. So it's a generational sport that creates a nostalgia around it that last really for a lifetime for most people. Now, I can speak on that to some degree. I can remember my father telling me how he and his father, my grandfather, would go to his grandfather, my great grandfather's house to watch baseball games when he was a kid. And to hear him talk about those things in the past, man, eyes would light up just thinking about spending that time with his father and his grandfather. And then for me, it shows me that my grandfather and great grandfather were passing that on to my father. So that nostalgia was there. So I can relate from that standpoint, that feeling, that idea of nostalgia that my father had of being with his grandfather watching baseball. I can remember as a kid going down in the basement, seeing my grandfather sitting in front of the TV watching the Pirates play. He loved baseball. So nostalgia is the number one reason why. And we really can see that, can't we? When you hear those stories and you hear and see the history of the game, and you hear where people were at when certain breakthroughs happened and how that affected them, man, the nostalgia part is real. So I could understand why that would be number one. Number two, number two is going to be the sport itself. Baseball itself being an outdoor sport, many people love smelling the grass. Many people love the fresh paint on the building, on the bleachers. Others love smelling the fresh air. That's if you're not in New York, LA, or Chicago. I'm just saying. I'm just playing, but it's just the truth. Other stadiums, yeah, you might get that fresh air. You ain't getting it in them cities. And I can throw Pittsburgh in there as well to some degree. But isn't it true? You're sitting outside, it just feels like spring. It's a feeling. You have opening day, which is a huge event. The sport itself draws that type of feeling, right? That type of feeling, knowing that baseball is upon us and you get a chance to now embrace on the season. So the sport itself is fantastic. You get to begin to think about where your team is at, where they're going, how the season might end. And now you have some months to really prepare for it. So the sport itself is the number two reason why so many diehard fans just love baseball. Number three is really, really simple as well. There's a statement that says the same thing that makes you laugh can make you cry. So, number three for why people don't like baseball is also the same exact reason why diehard fans love baseball. And that is the tradition of the game. See, diehard fans, they love everything about baseball's traditions. They do. They love the throwback unis. They love the stadiums that have historical components to it. They love some of the rules and the unwritten rules of the game that some of us may not like. They love those things. Now, for me, I will admit, one of the traditions that I do like, I love the camaraderie. The dugout seems to be, one of the nicest and coolest things that I see in sports. When you see how different players have those 5 minute handshakes, when you see the dugout celebrations, I remember the Houston Astros had probably one of the best dugout celebrations for a home run, and it took the whole team to participate. Started with one guy, and then the whole team started participating in it. And to me, a few years ago, that was probably the best home run dugout celebration I've ever seen. But others have them. The Seattle Mariners, they have the Aquaman spear that they stick in the ground. Other teams have the fancy hat and they put on the jacket. They look like Michael Jackson a little bit and they walk down. All of these traditions are things that make diehard fans love the game of baseball. So the tradition itself can help. In fact, I know some fans of baseball that literally have to eat sunflower seeds while they watch the game. That's how diehard they are because that's what the players are. That's the tradition. It's the sunflower seeds. It's the 75 pieces of bubble gum that's in somebody's mouth that makes my throat hurt because I feel like I'm choking looking at them try to chew the gum. That's all tradition that diehard fans absolutely love. So what's the solution? What can diehard fans do to help grow baseball? We told the fair weather fans or not fans at all to go to an actual game. So if you're a diehard fan, here's what Kevin from the Listen Man Show wants you to do. If you really love your sport like you say you do, let's find a way to make it grow. So here's what I want you to do. I want you, if you know somebody, a friend, a family member that does not like baseball, I want you to either invite them over to your house and watch a game with you, or if you're a season ticket holder or you can get tickets and take somebody who does not like baseball to a game. But here's the key: be quiet. Let them watch the game. Let them experience the stadium for itself. Let them experience the food for itself. Let them experience sitting around and hearing other people in the vicinity talk about what they appreciate about the team and hear the stories that they tell. If they have questions, let them ask you. Let them formulate their own tradition in baseball. And who knows, if you do that, you may gain some more fans. Wouldn't that be interesting? And isn't that what we want as fans? We want to see sports grow because it gives us something to root for, something to cheer for. So baseball is the same. Now, there are a few things that I personally feel could help baseball. One is it's growing, which is a great thing. And I think it is great. They're adding teams in different cities. But I think, and my boy D is going to be mad at me, but I think in some way, if they can level out the playing field when it comes to the money, because when you have these teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers that have fan bases that go back so far that money is just generational wealth. And what happens is they have the money to literally go out and pay free agents these enormous amounts of money, which makes it hard for teams to keep players. I would love to find a way for the Major League Baseball to just be able to even the playing field just a little bit. It's okay if the fan base supports their team more than another team, then hey, benefit from the fruits of that. But it's just it's such a huge gap between teams being able to do those things. So sometimes as a fan, it does get a little bit frustrating as well to see those things. So I think if the Major League Baseball could do something with that, then that would be a good thing for the sport as well. I mean, think of it. The Florida Marlins not too long ago won the World Series. But if you were to watch a Florida Marlin game, even during that season, a lot of times they look like T-ball games that I could go down to the local park on a Saturday and see just as many people. So the support may not be there. And then what happens is the players can't get paid, so they don't stay with a team that maybe they want to stay on. So they end up going somewhere else to get the money that they feel that they deserve. So maybe Major League Baseball could fix that. That would make some other teams more competitive, and then that can raise the fan base as well. That's just one solution, just one thing that I think about. Something else that I think about when it comes to baseball is what we talked about before. It being a little bit slow. Now, I haven't figured out a solution for that. I'm going to be honest with you. It's just slow. So here's what I would recommend for anybody who just can't come to grips with the fact that these games are slow and they're going to take some time. Cook some food, start some laundry, get your clothes ready for work. Maybe in the first inning, plant a lemon tree or something. Because by the 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th inning, you might have a lemon on that tree. Just be patient. You never know. And then you can use that lemon in some of the food or whatever you're cooking for dinner by the time you're ready to watch the rest of the game. That's the only thing that I could think of that can help pass the time if you're watching the game at home. But hopefully they advance some things. I know sometimes tradition is good, but it also can hinder the sport. So we want to see Major League Baseball do well. So maybe they'll start to utilize instant replay a little bit more so that they get more accurate calls. Maybe they'll institute some technology in there, like some of the other teams, to speed things up a little bit. They've tried it, and last year they said it was a success. We'll see some of the other changes that they have this year. So baseball in general is a unique sport, isn't it? You have people on both sides. They either hate it seems, or they love it. Let's see if we can bring some people to the middle, family. Let's see if we can't bring some of the people who don't like baseball to come to at least appreciate the art of the game, the skill that it takes to play the game, and really the talent pool. Look at what it does. Over 500 million fans worldwide. When you look at where some of these players are coming from, man, it's amazing how baseball has spread. We talked in our last episode, the golf episode, about how baseball is one of those sports that it touches people because you don't need a lot of equipment to play it. And so many people from around the world in different communities and walks of life can play baseball. So I do love seeing the diversity in baseball. I also love seeing the fan interactions at games. I love the fact that if I'm a fan and I go early, there's a good chance that, I can yell a player's name and he'll turn around and tip his hat. Maybe he'll even come over and shake my hand. Maybe he'll throw a baseball to me during a game. In some cases, if they come over to catch a fly ball, hey, maybe they'll eat one of my chips. Who knows? If they knock it over, maybe they'll buy one for me. We see that happen all the time. We see him throw the ball to a little kid, maybe because he dropped it. We see him give bats away. So the fan interaction is something that is fantastic. And I think it's great. I kind of wish the NFL and the NBA would kind of adapt more fan interaction in various ways. I know it's a little bit different and it's kind of harder because it's a more fast-paced sports, but I love the fan interaction. And then maybe the Major League Baseball will look at ways of speeding the game up a little bit. We're fixated as fans on games that have constant movement. The NBA, it's back and forth, it's back and forth, it's running, it's jumping, it's back and forth. There's timeouts, but they're 30-second timeouts, and then we're right back to the action, right? The NFL, think about it. One play literally lasts about 5 seconds, 6 or 7 at the very most if Patrick Mahomes is running around doing one of his crazy plays. But on average, an average play is anywhere from 4 to 5 seconds. But they go to the huddle and then they're right back out and then they're running another 4 or 5 second play. And they do that over and over again. Then they're punting or they're kicking or it's a field goal and then they're right back at it again. So if baseball can find a way to just speed the sport up just a tiny bit, I think it can only draw more fans to it. Now, the last thing that I'll say about baseball that I feel like can truly help the sport is get back to those family roots. And I know the family dynamic today is so different than what it used to be. And again, we're not going to get into social issues here. We're going to stay positive. All I'm going to say is simply this. If you're a father, if you're a mother, take the time to do some things with your kids. If you like sports and you're a fan, share your love for sports with your children. Help them to understand what it means to be a fan. Help them appreciate those things. That'll help them in life. It'll help them be there in the good times and the bad times for people that are in their life. Look at us. I'm a Pirates fan from Pittsburgh. I mean, listen, I get depressed just thinking about the Pirates. And you know the reason why? Like right now, they're third in their division. There's really two reasons why my Pirates tend to drive me crazy. But I'm going to encourage, and I've taken my daughter to Pirate games. One is because we just give away talent. I do have a theory, and I don't know if I'm right or not, but I think that Major League Baseball has a contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates to be a farm team. I'm just going to rattle off some of the names that have played for the Pirates. Barry Bonds, ever hear of him? Bobby Bonilla, you ever hear of him? They played at the same time. Cole Garrett, you ever hear of him? Andrew McCutchen. Like think of just those names. And I can go on and on and on over the years of players that Pittsburgh has literally had on their roster and have either given away, traded away, or lost because they didn't have the money to pay him. So it drives me crazy as a fan that my Pirates do that. But you know what? Each year I still support my Pirates. I still check for them. I still look for them. The other thing that drives me crazy with my Pirates is we've had some seasons where we start out great. We'll lead our division, and it's like All-Star break comes, and as somebody once said, when they take a break, they break for the rest of the season because they typically tank, fall apart, and end up last in the division. I don't know what happens at All-Star break, but they just completely fall apart. And it drives me utterly crazy. But we can encourage our friends and our family to get involved in baseball. It teaches us that life is not always peaches and cream. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be tough times. But real fans are going to stick it out with their team. Real friends are going to stick it out with their friends through those times. And in life, you just understand that there's not always going to be great times, but great times will be right around the corner. So, Major League Baseball, I think we've had a good show. I think we've talked about ways in which Major League Baseball might be able to help their fan base to grow. I think we found ways that you diehard fans out there can help people who are not fans to come to appreciate baseball. Maybe that will help the sport grow. And then for those who are not fans, man, I do hope you take me up on my offer to actually go to a game. Go see one. Man, if you don't go to a game, how about go to your local park where they're playing baseball and maybe just throw your hand up and say you're going to go play? Maybe playing the game will make you want to look at it a little bit differently and have an appreciation for what they do on a professional level. So there it is, the baseball episode. Now we're just a couple of weeks into the season, so we'll have another episode highlighting some things that are going on in baseball. There's always great stories that come out during the season, and it's a long season, guys. Like 160 something games, almost double the NBA season. So trust me, we have plenty of time to talk more baseball. But I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, leave some comments. Please, I'm asking everybody to make sure they leave some comments for me. I think that's the one thing. I appreciate the support. But if I could ask one thing, make sure you leave some comments. Even if you just want to tell me something that you feel like I could do better, man, the comments will help me hopefully be a better host for you. So as always, I thank you for being a part of the Listen Man Show. Looking forward to our next episodes. We have one on competition coming. I think you're really going to enjoy that one. Do you like competition? Do we really see competition the way that it should be? Those are going to be some of the questions we're going to talk about in our next episode. And as mentioned, we have Women's Wednesday that's going to be starting next month. So the first Wednesday in May, and then every other Wednesday, we will have a Women's Wednesday episode. So make sure you mark that on your calendar. The first Wednesday in May will be Women's Wednesday. Be on the lookout for that. So make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you like. Make sure that you share. Doesn't matter whether they like you or whether you like them. If they like sports and you do too, send them my way. Your boy Kevin will take real good care of them over here. Again, I'm working hard to make the fans' voice, your voice, my voice, the loudest voice that's out there. But I can only do that with your help. So please continue to support. Please continue to subscribe. Let's get these numbers up. Let's take this show to another level. Again, I thank you. Remember, remain positive. Keep positive people around you. Remember, no matter what's going on in your life, something better is going to be coming soon. I promise. So this has been the Listen Man Show, the baseball edition. Take me out to the ball game. Let's go.